welcome to my channel. My name is Jennifer Ohanwe. I know I haven't been here in a while because I have been a bit under the weather and I'm getting better right now. And I've really missed you guys. If this is your first time here, you're welcome big time. On this channel, I talk about oral health, and life in general. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, kindly click on that tiny subscribe icon there. I'll be glad to have you. And if you're a returning subscriber, you're the real MVP. So, I'm a dentist presently based in Nigeria. And whenever I tell people I'm a dentist, there are some things they say to me that are recurrent. It's either they tell me they have a hole on their teeth, or what do they do to get very white teeth? Or sometimes they ask me things like, what can they do, or what toothpaste can they use to, give them a very fresh breath. So usually when they say this, I figure out this person is either battling with bad breath or has somebody who they care about who has a bad breath. So on this video, I'll be sharing with you how to tell your partner that they have a bad breath. Sometimes it may not be your partner, it may be your best friend or someone very close to you, a sibling, a relative, a family member, but somebody quite close to you. So in this video, that is exactly what I'm going to be doing. If that sounds like something you're interested in, kindly hit the subscribe button and let's get straight into it. Now, the answer to that question is not as straightforward as you'd imagine it to be, because the issue of bad breath, also known as halitosis, is a very sensitive topic and it's not something you just want to throw around. Being a clinician, I've come across people who feel very insecure about things that are very insignificant. And when I say insignificant, this is not me trying to say that what it is they are concerned about are not important. It's just a way of saying that these are things that ordinarily somebody who looks at these people or who is close to them may not even be aware of, right? And bad breath is one of those things. And of course, bad breath is not insignificant, because if you live with someone that has a bad breath, or if you have to constantly communicate with someone with a bad breath, you would agree with me that it can be very, very uncomfortable. So, yes, having said that, the issue of halitosis, also known as bad breath, is a very sensitive topic, and it's not something you just want to, just throw it around or just say it to somebody in a very insensitive manner. So, in many cases, of course, in my period of practice too, 90% of the people I've come across who said to me, I think I have a bad breath, are females. And 90% of this 90% do not have a bad breath. So, sometimes it's all in their head. I've already talked about that. In some other cases, I've come across people who have bad breath and they are not bothered. And most of them are men. So, depending on who your partner is, or who this your friend is, or who this your relative is, sometimes they already know they have a bad breath. Some of them are already trying to do things to solve the problem, right? So it doesn't come to them as a surprise when you eventually tell them. Well, some people are totally oblivious of the fact that they have an unpleasant breath. So when you say this to them, you may be met with resistance. Some of them may want to deny it. Some of them may want to, be attackish, get very aggressive depending on their personality. Yeah. So these are things you also have to put into consideration before bringing up this conversation. So, how do you now go on to tell them that they have a bad breath? If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I think this is a good time to click on that subscribe button. Before I go on, I want to say this. If you're not close to somebody, then you are not in a position to tell them that they have a bad breath. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I know you're trying to help the world, help with global warming and all of that. But if you are not close to somebody, you are not in a position to discuss this with them. Yes, I said what I said. Except you're a professional, like a clinician, a dentist, somebody who is in a position to offer help. But if you're just a random person to this person, no, you cannot have that conversation with them, because it's a very sensitive conversation. And imagine if you were walking down the street and somebody you barely knew, maybe you probably went to a shop to buy something, and someone tells you, oh, you have a bad breath. First of all, you're going to feel very embarrassed. And then the next thing is that you're going to feel insulted. And then you can even, get really upset and start feeling like this person is trying to throw a shade at you. So, no, even if you're trying to help, you should understand that there is a limit to help you can offer to somebody who you're not close to. So this is exclusively for people who have people in their circle who have bad breath. Moving on, some of the don'ts of this conversation. So you're going to have the conversation. But before I go into that conversation, I think it's important that I say some of these things. Please do not have this conversation with this person in the presence of a third party, and worse still, a third party who is not close to this person. Please do not do that. You're going to really damage this person's ego or ruin their self esteem. The next thing you shouldn't do is to say it in a loud way, in a way that a passerby or someone who it is totally none of their business is going to hear you. The third thing not to do, and this is something many people do, is to go about telling other people about this person's bad breath. No, you shouldn't do that. If this person really has a bad breath, these other people you're saying it to may have also perceived it. So you are not the one who should go about, declaring the gospel and telling everybody about this other person's business. That is wrong. And also, it is the person with the bad breath that can do something to bring about any positive change. So if you told the whole world about it and you didn't tell the person, you haven't really done anything tangible for that person. You've just succeeded in ruining the person's reputation, doing things that would eventually affect the way this person feels about himself. So, having said this, how do you say this to your partner? The way you say this to your partner is very important, or the way you say this to your friend is very important, because this is what will determine whether the person would want to actually take a positive step in getting the problem solved or not. I know you're going to be saying, well, it's not my business, I've just told you. But no, if you really care about people, then you should also care about them getting the solution to their problem. You shouldn't say this to your partner in the middle of an argument. It's not when people are quarreling about who paid the last bill or who is supposed to pick the kids from school. That is not when you're supposed to start telling them that they have a bad breath, or it's not when they're having a bad day, right? So you people should, be in a very good state for you to have that conversation. And people should be in close proximity, hmm? Very close to each other. Sorry, I don't have a partner. I would have probably described it to you guys in a more practical way. So that being said, I would have to explain it to you for you to practicalize. So you should have this person really close to you. Ensure that the person is very comfortable. One of the ways to discuss this is to ask it as a question like, have you ever felt uncomfortable with your breath? So you're not putting it directly to him or her. You're just asking it as a question. This may prompt the person saying, the other day I noticed it though, but I know I just swept it under the carpet. I didn't really take it seriously. We can now take it a step further. You can also say, I think you have a not very pleasant breath. Have you noticed it? Right? It's still a question. You're not being very assertive. You're just, saying it in a very subtle way. The person can say, really? The person would want to smell their breath in order to confirm. In some cases, the person may notice. In some cases, they may not. Right? You can also ask the person, has anybody ever told you about your breath? The person can say, somebody mentioned this last 2 weeks, or no, nobody has ever said that. And then you can now go on and say, well, I really think you may need to see a dentist because I don't think your breath is very pleasant. Mind you, are you noticing how I'm not saying you have mouth odor, right? Because once you put that mouth odor in it, it would never sound good. Once you put that mouth odor in it, it would never sound good. So it's always as a suggestion, and then you're not saying bad breath like out blatantly. You're saying a not very pleasant breath. So it doesn't come off as harsh, basically. You can also say, what toothpaste do you use? I don't think it's improving your breath. This way, you're not blaming the person, because most times when you tell people about their breath, they begin to assume that you're suspecting that they have a poor hygiene, right? And which is something that people do not feel good about. So the unspoken thing there is the fact that you're suspecting that they do not take good care of their oral health, and that doesn't come out well. It doesn't sound good because you're invariably saying that these people have a poor hygiene, and I don't think anybody's going to take that lightly, right? So when you now say, what toothpaste do you use? I don't think it's improving your hygiene. The blame is not on them. The emphasis is on the toothpaste. The toothpaste may not necessarily have anything to do with it, but you've passed a message across, right? So this person is now going to say, I think I noticed it though. I've changed toothpaste how many times? I've still noticed that my breath is not good. Exactly. So you've been able to pass the message across. I'm assuming this is your partner, but this could also be your friend. But in the case of your partner, let's say the name you call this your partner is baby. You can say, baby, I think we really need to see a dentist concerning your breath. So once you say something like this to this person is going to know that you're really concerned about them, you care about them, and that you're not saying it because you want to hurt them or make them feel bad. So that's why it's really important that you don't say it in an intense place, like where you're having an argument or when you're having an unresolved issue. That is not the best time to say it to them. You're also not supposed to say it in the midst of other people. You're not supposed to say it in a loud way. You're not supposed to have any form of body language, like that's not the time for you to pinch your nose or cringe or have a certain body language or look at them in a condescending way. Please don't do that. Like how they feel after you've said this to them is going to go a long way to determine how much help they are going to seek for. So if you make them feel like, they have a terrible breath that nobody can stand them, it's going to affect every other thing that happens afterwards. So please, please, and please be gracious to people. Sometimes it doesn't really have anything to do with them, right? It's just something beyond their control or something that they are not aware of. So show some concern, show some care, be very gracious to them. Another easy way to tell them is by sending them this video. Yes, sending them this video. It makes it, more straightforward. The person knows that, okay, maybe I have a bad breath. Now, watching this video is also going to be a pointer to them. And if you're watching this video because someone who cares about you has sent it to you, this is the first step in the right direction. In my next video, I'll be telling you the things you can do to handle this bad breath. I'll be sharing with you some practical steps to take in order to handle this issue of bad breath. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on the post notification so that you get notified when next I post that video. Thank you very much. And if you have any question or comment or concern, you can leave it for me in the comment section. I'm going to respond to it. I'll be leaving my email address somewhere in the description box as well. If you've had to tell somebody that is close to you that they have a bad breath, I want to know what that conversation was like. I would like to know how it played out or what your experience was in the comment section. If you're also someone who has battled halitosis at one point or another, I would also want to know what your experience like and if somebody ever mentioned it to you. There was something else I didn't say. For you to categorically say that someone has a bad breath, you would have perceived this person's breath a couple of times, of course, more than once. And in all these occasions, this person's breath was unpleasant. And I'm saying this because there are a number of things that can affect people's breath. So you cannot just have a one-time conversation with somebody and conclude that this person has a bad breath, right? Because the person may be dehydrated, it could be early morning breath, especially if this person did not brush at night before going to bed. There are just a number of things that would contribute to the person's breath. I also have a video where I talked about possible reasons why you have a bad breath. I'll be leaving that video somewhere around. So guys, remember that this topic is a very sensitive topic, so don't damage people's self-esteem because you want to help them, right? Be gracious and be kind in having these conversations with them. So till my next video where I'll be telling you what to do about bad breath, do take care of yourself. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and remember to share it with your friends and people you care about. Bye.